Well, good evening, everyone. This is Bob Guns, bringing you the Concerned Forum over here in sunny Uganda. Well, maybe I shouldn't say sunny because it's nighttime now. I really hadn't planned to do a show until Saturday, but I'll be quite frank about it. I have seen so much happening uh, back in the States that it's really gotten bizarre. Okay? Listen, just a little housekeeping. Hope you like the show. If you do, give us a check mark when you see the channel. If you disagree with the show, uh, put that down there also. And for those of you that find it interesting, subscribe to us here at the Concerned Forum. All right, let's get to cases. I'm looking at America, okay? Being overseas, I think you get an excellent chance. What's the old expression? People, you never really know what's up with yourself. It's the people outside that look at you. Sometimes they have a clearer idea of, who you are, what you're doing. If they're a friend, spouse, loved one, what have you, parent, they might say, "Hey, Joe, you really screwing up, man." And it would appear to me that that's what the whole world is essentially telling the United States. And I believe that they're right, quite frankly. I'm trying to cut down on my use of profanity, okay? However, uh, some of the some of the things that I see happening in the States, uh, they are nothing but profanity, okay? And a couple of things I wanted to say to get off my chest. America, what the hell has happened to you? What in the hell is wrong with you? Okay, dig we got a. No, I'm not going to sit up here and battle back and forth about whether Trump was a pedophile. Okay, we know, we see every day this guy does nothing but basically try to run as much interference as possible for the whole Epstein case. And then on top of that, what his name appears, what is it, like 1 million times or 3 million times? Some like superhuman amount, right? And I'm like, what in the hell has this country done to itself? The man's a pedophile. The nicest thing, the kindest thing that anyone can say right now about Donald Trump is that he is running cover for pedophiles. Think about that now. How would you like it as your memorial for life? Somebody would say, well, the nicest thing I can say about Bill, he ran cover for pedophiles. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, and I think any intelligent person with any cognitive ability still left after over a year, Donald Trump will say the same thing. Obviously, there is deep involvement on the part of Donald Trump uh, and Epstein and those whole other gang of weirdos. What is it? Ludwig, the Secretary of Commerce, he flat out lied to Congress, saying that he had no, dealings with Epstein. And you got what you call it, a attorney general that basically holds Donald's hands, through this whole thing. And you have to ask yourself, um, these people, I'm not talking about Trump, but the rest of this clowns and this mess, they're lawyers. I thought, well, I was doing pre-law at City University. I was told that lawyers, they have like an ethical canons, things that they're not supposed to do. And Bundy, the Attorney General, she is supposed to be the lawyer for all of us, for the United States. And I tell you quite frankly, I've seen a lot of bullshit in my time. But what's happening to America now, how she's being governed now, the only word that I can use is bizarre. It's beyond using profanity. Profanity. It is goddamn bizarre. It truly is. I, you know, then with all this going on, he wants to attack our closest friend, Canada, right? Wants to attack NATO, Denmark, wants to attack Norway because he didn't get a Nobel Prize for Peace. Figure that one out. Wants to attack South Africa, wants to attack Nigeria, wants to attack Iran. I'd like to know, is there anybody on planet Earth that Donald Trump does not? Oh, let's not forget Venezuela. And he's had some very nasty words of Colombia. He wants to destabilize and destroy Cuba. And now, because of the Super Bowl halftime game, he hates Puerto Rico. You know, originally Donald did not know that Puerto Rico was part of the United States. Go figure. Oh. And I would like to say to all you weird red hat wearing people, to all you Latino people, excuse me, Latino leaders in your community that led your people, Latinos and African immigrants, particularly Somalis, um, and Palestinian Americans, right? Um, Up there in Detroit, what is it, that Detroit, Wisconsin area, right? I just wonder. Oh, and I cannot leave out so the young black male, well, informed young brothers that went out there and supported, these groups that I've mentioned that supported Donald Trump. And I'd like to ask, are you happy now? Hmm? Is this what you wanted? I also, although I kind of hesitate to bring it up because I've watched Donald since I was a kid, him and his damn family. Okay, I'm a native New Yorker, so we know all about Trump. Okay, hell, Donald made sure that we knew all about. Remember, this is a guy that buries, he what, married 3 or 4 times? He buries a wife out a golf course. Who in the hell does that? And I'm not trying to be facetious. I uh, I lost a great love of my life, the mother of my daughter, and I lost my son's mother. Um, excuse me, we were married, and she contracted an illness when I was stationed in Florida, and it eventually killed her. Now, one of the ladies, I wanted to marry her, but she had other career goals in mind. But she had my daughter, and my second wife, loved her dearly. And as I say, she contracted an illness when I was stationed in Florida, and she died from it. And I would never think, even if I had the means at the time to do so, I would never bury a wife, uh, girlfriend, and a golf course. And I think it's time that we sit down and really think, what kind of mentality uh, to to do such a thing? And I see all these Christian evangelicals, so called, well, said, my God, no, UPS, pass. God, no. And then, of course, the business of him sending the meme where you got Barack and Michelle Obama looking like apes. Uh, Talking tonight, I didn't bother taking down a whole lot of notes. It's hard taking down notes, and they want to do a video about Donald Trump because he has so much bullshit flying all over the place. It's really hard to keep up with. And I guess this evening I just saw some stuff that just made me so freaking tired. And I said, I need to talk. So, folks, tonight, this is me trying to boost my image doing these videos. And at the same time, I'm trying to do a little therapy because I honestly believe that no matter what happens, uh, you know, whenever Trump finally is off the stage, I fear that America, oh man, even if we manage to maintain our democracy, it might take a generation, maybe two, or maybe generation and a half to try, and not only to try and go forward, but also to restore the basics. Like the Attorney General's office, the FBI, FEMA, Department of Education, right? Was it HUD, Health Education and Welfare? All that stuff, right? Because Trump and his minions have so thoroughly decimated what America was that I think that we're going to have to, and we're going to have uh, some type of Mandela thing, right? Like over here, down the road in South Africa, they had the what was it, the Truth Commission or the Justice Commission? It was a commission, right? And I think for America, what that's going to have to be, it's going to have to be a bunch of people sitting around a big table, and we're going to have to hash certain things out. We got to. We got to. Because I'm not one of these people that believes, oh well, that should happen behind, so we're not going to look back. We're going to look for. I think that's the. I love the Obamas. I really do. But I have to honestly say that they made some mistakes, right? They made some mistakes. I think that attacking or him agreeing to allow American resources to attack Gaddafi in Libya, I think that was a mistake. Yeah, I really do. I think that when he said upon taking the White House, he said, "Well, we're not going to look backwards. We're only going to look forward." I think that was a tremendous mistake. Um, and oh, lovely Michelle, oh, I love this woman so much, but she was wrong about that. Oh, when they go low, we go high. Hey, sometimes you just got to get down there and duke it out. Okay. I also believe that he was too lenient um, to the bankers and the Wall Street clowns. Quite frankly, I know they sent a few of those fools to jail, but we didn't do that here. unfortunately, and we did not take care of as many people that got screwed by that whole 2007, 2008 collapse. A lot of the people that lost their homes and what have you, they didn't get compensated like they should. Okay, I'm not saying that that was all Obama's fault, but I think that he had a chance. Put it this way: FDR saved capitalism in America, and I believe that Obama he had the opportunity to re-engineer um, our economic system, but he didn't do it. I kind of understand why to a point, right? Because when you're talking about the American economy, you are talking about going up against some serious uh, financial players, financial uh, resources. Okay, it would be like going to war. Okay, maybe even worse, except without the bloodshed. Okay, but I still feel that he could have done more. Now, on the other side, I think that he was a uniter, that he did this, he tried to bring people together, even at his own expense. Uh, I believe that he's a thoroughly accomplished gentleman, uh, highly intelligent. I put him up there with Jack Kennedy in terms of, academia, intelligence, so on and so forth. Um, and he's a cool dude. Be quite frank about it. He's a cool guy. He's a decent guy. Um, he left the White House cleaner, better than he found it. Uh, if we're going to get into first ladies, I would say she was right up there with Jackie Kennedy, um, George Bush Senior's wife. She's a class act. Ain't no two ways about it. So you are talking about two black Americans. Uh, they represent the best, not just about black folks, but they represent the best of America, right? And then you have this scumbag, right? I mean, you got a president of the United States. Now you have a president of the United States that is trying to dodge charges of being a pedophile. Now you think about that. You think about that, right? Oh no, I can't vote for that black woman. Oh no, that black Asian lady. And you got a lot of you African Americans out there. You said the same stupid shit. Okay, so don't look away, right? Well, she locked up a whole bunch of brothers. Well, hey, she was a district attorney. That's what the district attorneys do. You know? And we find that the whole thing about her being unfair district attorney towards, especially young men of color, we find it to be bullshit. Okay, um, I would advise younger brothers out there, learn some more of your history so that people don't play games with you like Trump did. After playing all those games, you see now Trump. What does he do? He's catching hell on every front, and so he finds the time to do a meme showing Michelle and Barack Obama as apes. Now, I'm not going to argue about the fact that how Donald Trump, in both his terms as president has really turned up the racial thermometer in this country. Right now, he has a paramilitary federal police force at his beck and call that walks the streets of America, beating and killing immigrants and also white American citizens that don't agree with his policy. This is what This is what we no. This is what we've got. Down south, they used to call them nigger lovers, and see that is basically the term that he wants to stick on white Americans that don't agree with his racist immigration policies. See, never mind the fact that he is the son and grandson of two very shady immigrants. Right? His mom came over here. She was lucky she met. Well, I don't. Maybe I shouldn't call it luck. But she got hooked up with his old man Fred. She wasn't exactly legal. His grandfather was definitely illegal because he was kicked out of Germany. And this is the guy that's running around talking about criminal immigrants. And meanwhile, you can't even tell me how much money this clown has made since he's been in office this time around. What, like a couple of $1 billion, if I'm not mistaken? I mean, this person decides that he is going to do a derogatory black thing on Black History Month, no less, right? Says, yeah, I'll make them look like apes. The tragedy is, um, that's what somebody was telling me. Uh, and like I was telling my friends back home in New York, be careful because in American history, anytime they start talking about black folks as being, monkeys, apes, what have you, that's like a dehumanizing process. And then in most of American history, after they do that process, people wind up getting hung from trees or lampposts or just shot down in the street. So I believe that what Donald wants to do, he wants to try and kick off some type of ethnic, racial conflagration, right? So he would have the excuse to bring in the military. But many people in this country have seen through that. So I guess we have to watch and see what nonsense Trump pulls next. Uh, I fear that, but I also fear the possibility of him starting a full-scale war to try and throw everybody. You know how he does this, and he does that, and he does this, and he does that. It's like the guy playing three-card money, keep everything moving, and so that people don't have the time or the intellectual dexterity to keep up with everything that he's constantly trying to do. See, and I mean that's what that thing in Venezuela was all about. So they're bringing drugs. Wait a minute, man, how you gonna be? You want to go and kidnap the president of another country, claim, and kill a bunch of people on boats, right, in Venezuelan waters, and then say, oh, well, they were trying to run drugs. Number one, everybody knows damn well fentanyl don't come from Venezuela. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, anytime, and I'm from New York, okay, you got a bus, big bus, boom. You got the cops, you got the DEA, FBI, the whole gang. Sometimes even the mayor shows up. A big, huge table, right? And you got all the dope, right? You got all the guns, you got all the money, right? We never saw any evidence. Nothing. Didn't see a drug warehouse or none of that shit. Didn't see a boat. You mean to tell me between the United States Navy, which I'm a proud former member, and the United States Coast Guard, we couldn't corral one of those speedboats and inspect them and say, aha, we have found narcotics and bring that shit into Florida and spread it out for the world to see? You telling me that we're not capable of doing that? That we just have to atomize people, just blow them out of the water, blow them to oblivion, right? But yeah, for a while, and then with the kidnapping of Maduro, that basically took the flame and the magnifying glass off of the whole Epstein mess for a while. And then, like, we're going to go to war to make Canada the 51st state. We're going to conquer Greenland, right? We're going to bomb in Nigeria. The whole barrel of bullshit. See, but what I'm afraid of this time, because he really has his back up against the wall. And I fear that this guy is going to, I mean, I fear that he might try and do something like attack Iran. I mean, really attack Iran. Not just do a quick bombing raid, but actually kick off a war. And listen, I'm no doctor, okay? I was a history major, science, you know, I enjoy it, but it wasn't my thing. But just as an observer, looking at this guy, Trump, I mean, it's like Grandpa Harry. There's something ain't right about this cat, man. I'm sorry. Something is not right about this guy. And the idea of this person, this Donald Trump, the way as we have seen for the last several weeks, always keep in mind this is the person that could trigger off a thermonuclear holocaust. He is the one with the finger on the button. Let that soak in for a minute. The future of this planet that we call Earth rests in the hands of Donald Trump. All I can say is, unfortunately, uh, we have too many Americans that, this is for you people that say, "Oh, I ain't going to vote," right? That is, I mean, I love George Carlin to death. He was my neighbor, right? His mother and my mother were friends back in Manhattan, in West Harlem. But that's one thing I always agree, I always disagreed with. This idea, well, I didn't vote, so don't blame me. Well, yeah, we do blame you. See, you had a choice. The way this system is set up right now, unfortunately, you got a binary choice. Okay? And one of the things about being an adult is that you have to make, sometimes you just have to make choices. And it might be an unpleasant choice, right? I like Kamala Harris, but her campaign was not that great. I'll be the first one to acknowledge that. But you had a choice. You had Kamala and you had crazy. And you read that word bastard, you went for crazy. And then, you see him, because I'm on YouTube a lot, and I read a lot, and I see, these people, oh, I'm ill. I'm a single mother, I got 3 kids, one of whom is handicapped, and I'm not doing good myself, and I don't have my health care. I don't have my SNAP benefits have been taken away. The hospital that we used to use, right? That's now closed. And I'm like, well, who'd you vote for, man? Well, I voted for Donald Trump. And I'm like, huh? Why would you do that to yourself and to your family? I just don't get that. And oh Lord, as a country, I think that psychologically, paging Dr. Freud, we need some help. We truly do. I What's happening in America right now, from what I see, okay, um, because I don't mean to smack the most of the mainstream media, but you get better news here than you do back in the States. And to tell you the truth, always did. When I was in the Navy, I was always shocked at the amount of information I was able to get when I was overseas, as opposed to just living in what, the capital of American media, New York. But that's the way it is. A lot of that though is a lot of corporate BS. So we have to keep that in mind. Over here, you got corporate crap in the media, but it's different. You know, it's different. Look at the coverage that the genocide in Gaza receives in Europe, as opposed to you know being in the United States. But I don't want to digress too far from that. Oh, that's another thing. Trump wants to set up, what is it, his little boiler of peace. He sees himself as some kind of planetary dictator, quite frankly. But now you think about this guy, he wants to have his peace board, he wants his Nobel Prize, and he says that black people are apes. And this is who our president is, right? You got starving Americans out here. Excuse me, you got starving Americans in the United States. Um, People who are losing and have lost their homes. Thousands are losing their jobs. And, well, we already spoke about the healthcare being practically non existent. If they can find a hospital, they got to go right to the ER. And this guy is worried about making monuments. Yeah, monuments, right? Uh, New tunnel between New York and New Jersey, financial capital of the United States, of half the world. And I'll let you have it if you put my name on it. And I'm like, you got Americans being shot down by paramilitary, a federal paramilitary Praetorian Guard, and trying to build concentration camps throughout the country. And this is the type of bullshit that we're concerned with. And, I tell you quite frankly, this is the same guy. Now, I spent, what, half a decade when I was in the Navy um, doing top secret work. I know classified documents. I had to deal with them every damn day. You TS secret. Um, I had a cosmic top secret clearance. I don't know if they still use the term cosmic because I was back in the 80s and early 90s. And cosmic at that time meant that anything the president of the United States had to write up or be read or passed on, I had the authority to do so. And you tell me that you elected a president that you knew stashed top secret and secret material in his bathroom in Florida. Hmm? If you had any music in the background, I like to play Eye of the Tiger when I try to do my video things here. But think about that now. You decided to vote for a guy Now, you already knew that he was a sexual abuser. You already knew that he was a freaking thief, right? Uh, you already knew that you know he was a bad dude, okay? But all you patriotic red hat wearing fuckers out there, you knew that this guy had stashed top secret material. I mean, it would have been cool, doing something. I left it here in this part of the White House, blah, blah, blah. No, 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 no. He had this shit in his bathroom in Florida. And he would share this information or business associates, people he called friends. And I asked myself, wait a minute, how this whole guy, what this presidential shit is all about? We shouldn't even be discussing presidential nonsense. This guy belongs in jail. Belongs in freaking jail. And it really angers me. Okay. In my time in the Navy, I spent time on two aircraft carriers. Nimitz, Saratoga. Nimitz, I was ship's company. Saratoga, I was with a Fighter Squadron 81. So I know the deal, right? Another word for aircraft carrier is target. Okay. And I wonder, I'm quite sure, because this happened, with Trump and the top secret stuff in the bathroom, in his bathroom. I mean, yeah, I think I was in the reserves by then. But I'm sure someday some former CIA or State Department or Army or Navy or Air Force intel person or some person with NSA is going to tell actually what those classified documents in Trump's bathroom at Mar-a-Lago, what they really, consisted of. But it really bothers me because, see, I was one of those kids on the carriers, right? I spent 5 years doing assigned to the Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, and at the White House and the Pentagon, with access to NSA, CIA, so on and so forth. But besides that, I had like three tours of sea duty, and I always think of my shipmates. I always think about them boys and girls that are out there now, and I just wonder what was that material that Trump thought was so important he had to basically steal it out of the White House after he left office and stash it in the bathroom of his mansion at Mar-a-Lago, Florida. And who did he share that information with? I tell you, it bothers me. My son, unfortunately, um, well, no, not unfortunately, but he's past compulsory military service. I think he has to be up to like 27, 28. Well, my son is, a couple of years older than that, so I don't worry about that. I have a grandson. I worry about him if these fools ever create a situation where they have to bring back the selective service. But I wonder, and I pray for the boys and girls out there now, because we don't know. We, the American public, we don't know. Yeah, excuse me, the average American person doesn't know, right? What particular classified documents that he had in his bathroom and who he shared it with. Now, somebody like myself or somebody like CIA or any military analysts, if they see certain things happening to American interests or to American personnel around the world, they might be able to, we might be able to sit down and figure it out. Well, hey, they went from A to B, they're doing this. How could they possibly know about this? And then we think, oh, well, yeah, Trump had box loads of this information in his damn bathroom. I think one was confused. Some of the boxes were even in the damn shower. you know, and I'm like, and this is what a large amount of the American people voted for, and they were warned. Mm. But the Republican Party and their corporate bosses, and we have problems with corporations on the Democratic side too. But um, these Republican corporate bosses, I really believe that they don't give a good goddamn about the United States as a whole. They are the Republican, the corporate interests that support the Republican Party. Now, these are the true globalists. Okay, I would call them negative globalists because they just see this shit. It's all about them, right? And Trump was their perfect vehicle. So I worry, right? If I had a son or a daughter right now, and they were on an aircraft carrier or a nuclear submarine, I would be very worried. I would be very worried. And I dare say that I would not. I mean, I used to advise the old what? Um, who was there now? Who was there? From Jimmy Carter all the way up to mm, Bush Jr. Right? I would have, I would. Well, no, I take that back. Even through Bush Jr., um, Obama, yeah, even halfway through Donald Trump, I advised them. Yeah, I mean Trump's first term. And, should go in the Navy. I would try to get him to go in the Navy. you know, um, but I, in good conscience, I can't do that now. I really can't. Um, not because I feel that, in my opinion, we have a despicable president. Not just that, but see, and I know that the media doesn't talk about it enough. But I guess because I worked uh, top secret for for those years at the White House and the Pentagon, that I keep thinking about those documents. And I know the average American, uh, Joe and Jane, right? I guess they're not really thinking on that, but I do, and I worry. And I think we all should be worried because as we get deeper into this Epstein thing, and look what they're doing in Britain. They are tearing the walls apart. The Prime Minister of Great Britain might be losing his job, right? They've already lost one member of the royal family. He might wind up going to jail. The guy who's a former ambassador to the United States, uh, he might wind up going to jail. The prime minister who selected him is going, he's catching hell right now, and we don't know what's going to happen to him because a lot of this shit is just so interconnected. Um, corporate moguls, leaders of different countries, some of whom are not I won't say adversaries, but not that, not friendly towards a democratic republic called the United States. And these bastards, they have friends. Okay, they have friends with people who openly don't care for the United States. So when you think about that, and you think about this whole looks like Western pedophilia ring, right? You see that the president of the United States, uh, with his name on what, at least mentioned 1 million times. I think it's 3 million, but I'll be conservative. I say, okay, we know for a fact at least 1 million times. This is the president of the United States. Think about that. The president of the United States. Would you see Eisenhower involved in some shit like this? Right? Okay, we know Jack Kennedy, he loved his ladies, but he loved his ladies. He didn't chase after little girls, you know. And it's so weird because it seems like lately the Republicans, if you catch a politician with a boy, and I mean boy, under 17 in bed, chances are it's going to be a Republican. I don't know what the hell happened. And a Democrat, yeah, okay, he stepped down his wife. All right. Some baby, he might know her work or something in the office. But this is monstrous. We're talking about little girls. And yeah, any Democrat that was involved in this, yeah, he deserves to be strung up by his genitals. So I'm not playing favorites. But what I am saying is that there's something very wrong, very, very wrong in the American body politic. And when you think about the fact that the President of the United States sits in the middle of the biggest scheme of, what do you call it, sex trafficking, pedophilia, I, I don't think I'm being too far out when I say the biggest scandal of this type in American history. Excuse me, in the history of the United States. Doesn't that scare you? Doesn't that freaking scare the living crap out of you? I mean, it does me. That's why I'm a really. I mean, look, I'm angry as hell. Okay, about what Trump and that ape shit that he did to the Obamas. I am angry as hell about that. But yeah, look, I deal with that because Trump has always been a racist. And if you didn't know that, you were a damn fool. That's why some of these black celebrities they've kind of got underground. Because back in the day, they used to hang out with this guy at Madison Square Garden and what is his name, Regime's Club, all that bullshit, right? Vegas, and the man was a racist. But I don't know, some people, some people just kind of try to overlook that bullshit. I never did. Never cared for him because I knew what him and his family were all about. The only decent people, well, one's dead, that was his older brother, and the other one, his niece, the brave soul that she is, and she does her best. She did her best to try and enlighten the American public. Unfortunately, for the election of 24, it didn't work. What she told us, right? Just like Kamala Harris told us, but a lot of you folks, you didn't want to listen. So this is what you have, and there's going to come a point where, okay, all this shit is swirling around Trump. And we know, all right, he has proven between him and his damn Justice Department that he is trying to keep a lid on the whole Epstein thing. But there's gonna come a time, maybe sooner, maybe sooner than later, where it's gonna come out. Yeah, we saw Trump do this with this person. Okay. Now he's already branded as a protector of pedophiles. Okay, he's not going to escape that. That's out there, right? He can't sue anybody for that because that's out there. And God, this is disgusting enough. But what is America? How will the United States recover? I mean, we're going to have a hard enough time recovering from a president that was a known shielder, right? An asset for a gang of pedophiles, right? America, you're already going to have to deal with that. What happens? And what's his name? The Republican Congressman Roy and the other one, Roy Hanna, they have already got basically the gate is closing on Trump, and eventually, boom, yeah, you are a pedophile. What does the United States, what are we going to do? How do we look at the world? Yes, your president, America, is a pedophile, and you kill your own citizens in the streets. Who in the hell? It's just like you got American troops in Nigeria. That bothers the hell out of me. I live in Africa now. That bothers the hell out of me because you have troops representing a president that says that black people are apes. Okay, so get this idea, a little side venue here. Black American, blacks in Africa, right? And this little supposed bullshit schism between us. Get the notion out of your head. If you're black, in this man's mind, okay, if you're black, if you're African descent, you are a freaking ape, okay? So you have an American president that believes that black people are apes having troops in Africa. Now, somebody square that circle for me. Racism, it makes me angry as hell, just like I said. But there's even deeper dimensions to this whole thing. And I just hope to God that the American people wake up to what we have here. God knows, I think that Republicans, I used to think Democrats were spineless. My God, these Republicans that they have now, with a few exceptions, uh, I think their spines are like jelly donuts, quite frankly. This guy, this president, he uses them for a footstool. At least the Democrats at some point are finally starting to show signs of life, right? The little dogs are biting back. And the Republicans, I don't know, quite frankly, I don't know how a Republican could go out in the heartland and tell his starving, no hospitalization, no health care constituents. One of the great things that Trump and the Republicans have done in the last 14 months or whatever, Uh, I don't see how they do it. I really don't. As a working class person, I could not see how any working class person could vote Republican unless you got a lot of hate and you worry about this cultural bullshit. Well, I'm going to do a video about the history of America and immigration. Okay, to get that business straight. But for real, you gotta really hate Yeah. I know. 24 was about the economy. Yeah, you tell yourself that bullshit if you want to. Okay, even if it was about the economy, you felt that the convicted criminal, sexual abuser, racist, ignoramus, la. You felt that he would be better for the economy than the black lady, right? I say black. I should say black Asian lady, but I know how most Americans out there. I know what they was thinking out there. Yeah, I'm going to go with this guy rather than the black lady, and you did that, and you're miserable, and you're scared. You saw those two white people shot for doing nothing wrong. One was for protesting, the other one, he wanted to help a woman that ICE had knocked into the street, and they were killed. And you know what flashed through your mind? For however brief, what flashed through your mind was, oh, this is what the black folks been talking about. Yeah, got it now? And this is what you put in the White House. Now, listen, as I wrap this up, I wanted to say, I don't have no PhD. Okay. I got like 1 year towards a master's degree in international relations. All the stuff that I know in terms of international policy or what have you, I got OJT through the Navy, uh, to being assigned to the Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, so on and so forth. But I'm an avaricious reader and I see things. I know damn well I ain't the brightest bulb in the chandelier, but I don't really think that you have to be. You should not have to be with the type of administration that we have presently. And that's how I form my opinion. You know, I mean, you can have all the facts and figures, but I don't know. I guess opinions kind of help to shape how people want to see those facts and figures. But what I just gave you is my analysis, okay? And analysis is just an opinion. And I hope I've given everyone something to think about. Pray for our country, look out for each other, and always try to understand what it means to have value and to deal with people that have value. Listen, love, peace. See you next time.